Thank you for tuning in. My name is Bo. You guys can call me Bo, B-O. And basically a little bit about myself. I've been in a casual um, game industry for more than almost 10 years. So I've been done everything from Xbox 360, PS3 games, all the way to mobile games. And I've been done concept art direction, and even programming, 3D modeling, you name it. So I know the in and out of this industry pretty well, and it's obviously there's more stuff to learn. I'm learning everything every day. So uh, this industry growing rapidly, and with new technology coming out every day, your knowledge almost get outdated. So you have to learn as much as you can and feed your mind. If you want to keep in a game, you got to feed your mind almost every day. You have to learn something new. And the purpose of this painting is like I want to do some concept art for uh, a casual game. And I haven't planned anything for this. I try to keep it as genuine as possible. So I haven't planned for this, but I set the time for this. I try to finish this painting in 45 minutes. So I set a timer, and I just start painting. And what I use for this painting, I just use a random photo, birthday photo, as my base texture. A lot of concept artists, if you see, they use that. They use this technique, and it's not cheating. Because in a game industry, because if you want to compete, a lot of people draw fast, very fast, and you really don't have a lot of time. So you gotta use all the techniques to your advantage. And one of the best technique is using a photo as your base texture. And I made it in the beginning. Obviously, I made it as ambiguous as I can. I paint over it. I use the color picker, and that photo actually gave me a really nice base texture and giving me a lot of colors to work with. And most of happen to be like very warm colors. And I have to let you know, obviously in advance I speed up this video about 200%. So you're looking at around 20 minutes of like a video. So it's short and sweet. And I'm not using anything fancy. I'm using all the default brushes of Photoshop, and I'm using a Wacom tablet that I bought like around 8 years ago. So I don't have a Cintiq, it's just a old Wacom tablet. So as long as you got these basic tools, you're ready to go. And I'm using Photoshop. And at this point, actually, I kind of got an idea what I'm going to draw. I'm going to draw a pilot. I thought about some sort of pilot, uh, like a cool pilot with a big mustache, and, like kind of the backstory is like he's crashed his plane, or his plane is not working anymore, so he's like in a very cold environment, maybe a cold planet or something, and trying to find his way home. And in the beginning, I use a lot of lines to design a character, and I found out this way it saved me a lot of times, because if you're using shapes, obviously a lot of people say, oh, use shapes, and there's nothing wrong with that, obviously. But I found out in my experience what works for me is works the best for me. When I use lines, if somebody come over in half an hour or something, and I have to show him something, the drawing is more readable. As if you're using shapes, uh, you have to define those shapes so that eventually become more readable. And sometimes that can make the whole overall design uh, too ambiguous to share it with other people, because somebody might need it like right away to create a 3D model or anything out of it right away. So you want to deliver as much value as you can in half an hour, 45 minutes. And the best way to look at it as exciting as you can. It can be very exciting to do do those kind of designs, do like a really fast paintings. And right now, I actually, if you saw, I actually use the burn tool to add some like a weight to the bottom of the painting. I basically took the burn tool and make the whole bottom of painting very dark. So I already got some plans what I'm gonna do with painting. I'm gonna focus mostly at this point. I'm thinking I'm gonna focus mostly on the face and the head because that area show a lot of design, show a lot of story, and I'm gonna leave the rest of the body, especially the clothes, open to imagination. So that's the basic idea. That's what I got. So I'm again here like I'm drawing. I'm drawing with paint. I'm drawing with darker tones to define more shapes, define more planes, and design. I'm designing the eye socket. I'm designing the cheekbones, the hat, and the mustache. And I already know this character gonna have this curly kind of French mustache, and it's gonna have these long eyebrows. So those two things gonna make this character extremely unique and make it extremely stand out. Uh, because obviously design is like a universal language, and in a lot of areas it's gonna be the same. But when you move to different part of the industry, things can get more specified. So if you're designing for obviously Xbox 360 game or a design for mobile game, things can be a bit different. Uh, and the way I'm designing this character, actually, I'm not making it super realistic and I'm not making it super cartoony. I'm kind of trying to keep a balance. And I'm thinking about this character going to be probably used for adventure game, and so right now I'm actually experimenting with some darker tones. I'm not going too dark and I'm not going too light in earlier stages, and because that way when I use a lot of mid-tones and I'm trying to leave that to the last, it give me my brain a lot of time for imagination. I can come up with more out of those shapes. I can come up with more designs because I'm looking at my timer. I still got more time, and I got I set my timer at 45 minutes. So right now, actually, I'm trying to thinking about like designing this very dark shape for the bottom part of the body. So I don't have to deal with it as much as for it gives me more. So it leaves me more time to deal with the face structure and give the face more character. That way, the bottom part is gonna be a big silhouette, almost a big silhouette. So the brain gonna come up with ideas, and that's the whole idea. And right now, if you look at the face, actually look at the colors. Those colors, they're working very well at this point. And if you think about it, I didn't come up really with those colors at all. I took it out of that photo, that base texture that I put in. And obviously, if I want to come up with those colors, obviously it would have took me longer to finish this painting. And just because of one simple tool, using a photo as my base texture, it saved me a lot of time. Lots of time, probably maybe a couple of hours, something like that. And I can focus, just jump in the painting and focus on design. And right now I'm trying to design the eye sockets and the eyebrows. Those areas are very extremely important in this painting because it's one of the major areas that make this character unique. So I'm already thinking about it. I'm thinking about it. I gotta be delicate with these parts. I gotta put much more effort or much more time in designing these areas. At this point, I'm using some thin line, like dark lines, to separate shapes very fast. So, because sometimes when you're painting with shapes, especially a larger brush, which you create shapes, sometimes things can be more ambiguous, and using some thin like dark lines, you can separate planes and you make it much more readable to the eye. right now I'm trying to use some like a lighter tones because I've been focused on dark tones a lot. And as you can see here, I just made this black here. This is a technique I see a lot of people use. And I basically make a layer and put it at the top and fill it up with a dark color, basically black color. And you set the mode on saturation or color, and that way you can check the tonality of your paintings. Obviously, in a very conventional painting, you want a broad range of tones. And when I say conventional, just what I mean is like you might want a painting that just use very light tones for a stylized, because you want to make a stylized game or a stylized painting. So maybe sometime you want to use all just a dark tones, very dark tones, and that's just going to be a different challenge. But in this painting, I want to use a broad range of tones. So I just I use that layer. I turn it on and off sometimes, and I use that layer to check my tonality, see how much mid-tones I have, how much light tones I have, how much dark tones I have, and you basically use the eyes, obviously, color picker to check for those tones. And with the magic of technology, that thing is very, very easy to use. So I suggest using it. And the other thing to focus on, sometimes I zoom in, but I try to zoom out as much as I can. Zoom in, zoom out. That's your friend. Because I figure out it happens to me still. Sometimes I still make the same mistakes over and over. When you zoom in one area and just keep painting at that area and designing that one area, that area might look great. But when you zoom out, compared to other areas of the painting, that area just not gonna work. So you better to keep in mind, try to not zoom in one area for too long. Try to zoom out. Try to work on all like overall painting and just move around a painting all the time. At this point, I'm trying to design a large dark shape for the bottom of the painting. And the reason, as I mentioned, I think earlier, is I want to keep the bottom part of the painting as a dark silhouette. So it just leaves me more time to focus on other areas, because in the back of my brain you always try to have this time management that, like for example, for this painting I have 45 minutes. So in the back of my brain I have to manage my time, how much I'm going to spend time on each areas. And in the beginning it might be too hard, like a bit hard, but over time when you get used to it and you practice more, you have a very much easier time creating a time management and keeping yourself like in tune with time. And eventually you're going to have this brain that you basically can come up with how much time you're going to spend on the face, how much time you want to spend on the clothes. And in the beginning, obviously, it might be like a bit too hard, but eventually it get much easier and easier just with practice. Right now, I'm using a lot of dark tones. I'm using a lot of darker tones, and I'm trying to use a lot of like a brownish, reddish kind of almost color for darker tones. So because the overall feeling of the painting is, it is a warm painting. And here I'm experimenting with some very, very light colors, because I check and I see that I don't have a lot of light tones. So I'm not gonna use I'm just gonna use a bit of light tones. And the best way I thought to use it for me, using a background, and I just started using it. And I thought it would be cool to describe some clouds in the back with light tones. And at the same time, it served two purposes. It show a bit of environment, and at the same time, it make the character head pop. Because in painting, you want to paint dark against light and light against dark. That way, things become more readable. Obviously, this is not the case all the time, but generally speaking, you kind of want to do that. So, if you look at it, actually, it made the head pop so much, just like adding that simple light tone in the back. and at the same time it describes some clouds. So I'm adding a bit of like a light to the face, some light to the highlights to the eyes and the nose and the cheekbone, and it just makes a huge difference. It makes a huge difference. As you can see, it makes the face way much more readable. It makes it much more dimensional because that's how your brain works. Basically, the more shapes you got, you just want to paint shapes over shapes over shapes, and that's what's going to happen. And you saw again, I checked for tones, and I wasn't happy with the shape overall shape of the body. I imagine her body going to be much more bigger, so I'm trying to widen up the body. Added a bit of detail to the bottom part, not too much. Very suggestive, not too much. And I add some logos and some stuff, so to make it more obvious that maybe he's a pilot or he's like he's an army guy or something like that. And right now I'm adding more dark tones with a very thin lines, just trying to describe more design. Because you gotta understand, like you gotta think about it. You want to share this painting with a 3D artist or maybe even a 2D artist when you're creating casual games. So maybe not everything gonna be defined, but you want to give him enough so it wouldn't be too ambiguous. You want to describe as much as design in this short amount of time, and it's going to be very challenge. It's going to be a great challenge, but that's the most fun about it. As you can see right now, I'm actually jumping more in dark tones, and I'm trying to add more dark tones. But at the same time, I'm thinking about how can I use those dark tones to describe more designs, to describe more shape, and to separate the planes. That light tone in the background already made a huge difference, and it's just amazing. Like if you think about it, all these colors that came out of that photo, and the color palette, it just works really great. It gave me this like a very surreal kind of. It almost looks like a sunset or sunrise kind of colors. It's almost like it's that pinkish, like a color that you see in a sunset or sunrise. So it almost looks like that, and it just came out of that photo, and that's kind of accidental. That wasn't planned, and you can call that a happy accident. But that's a great thing about using photos. Sometimes you need those happy accidents to come up with some cool looking concepts. Right now I'm trying to, and sometimes you got to zoom out, try to zoom out as much, and sometimes you don't have to paint all the time. Sometimes you just try to look at a painting for like a 20 or 30 second. Well, that's if you're in a rush, or maybe a minute, something like that. So that way you get a fresh look at a painting, and you see what you want to do, and ask yourself, what can I change about this painting? What I don't like? What areas that I can change fast, that it can make a huge difference? Because we're not talking about painting you want to do like in a day or 2 days. You have that much time. You want to do a painting that is going to take you 45 minutes. So you want to think about those small changes that makes a huge difference. Right now, I just painted a very basic shape of the clouds in the back to make it clear. There are clouds, and basically at the same time use a great purpose of composition because it points to the character, and already added some curve to the top, and that's pretty much it. So that's a full painting. So I just made some final adjustment, and that's a full painting. And thanks for stopping by, and subscribe for the channel. I try to put up more videos as much as I can, and thank you for subscribing, and subscribe to the channel, and also visit zulax.com. Thank you. Bye.